Revered Swami Swatmaramanandaji Maharaj, my loving pranams to you, and my loving pranams for all the seekers of knowledge here. This workshop is kind of special, very special for me today, because even though I've done it many times, could be about starting from 6 hours. This is the shortest one. I'm trying to do it here to 2 days in India. Each time I do the topic or the title might be the same, but depending on the audience, the angle that we take, or the nuances that we go deeper into this matter is going to be very different. And especially today's topic about facing issues in this violent society is a very new issue that I had not faced at the societal level. So let us see if there are specific questions regarding the violence in the society. We will address that. But whatever we are addressing in a very general manner, because I do know of people who have come here for many different issues, not just facing the challenges in the society, the violent society. Knowing this, we will see how we can take this forward, and then I will weave in the issues of violence at the societal level, and we will also understand violence from a very different angle, to be honest with you. Because as I was researching into the violence in the society, even came to know about the definition of violence by WHO. You can also easily look it up later on. We won't go into that unless there is a specific need. So let us keep it as general as possible. And if there are any specific issues about the violence in the society, I'm going to be dealing with this. Because as we see with the title, forgiveness is the basis for our health and well-being. Many times we don't understand this at all. And I have also put it as it is a way to evolve. We will see what does that mean, way to evolve as we go along. So, we all know this shloka. Asatoma sadgamaya, tamasoma jyotirgamaya, mrityorma amritangamaya, om shanti shanti shanti. All of us, whether we know it or not, we are trying to understand something about the ultimate truth and then moving from darkness to light, right? The last one, from death to immortality, it's a little bit far away for many of us. We will keep that aside. But even to go from darkness to happiness, to light, and to be able to understand and to be able to understand even the need of forgiveness, we really have to go deeper into what is forgiveness. Even that we are not at all sure, to be honest with you. So we're going to go deeper into that and then see where it is going to take us. Forgiveness and compassion. We know these terms we use very easily, and not just use. Yes, of course, we practice this is what we think. Yes, we do practice forgiveness. We have practiced compassion, forgiveness all the time. But what we do not realize is that true forgiveness? Is that true compassion that we are practicing? The reason I'm saying this at a deeper level is that even I used to use these words a couple of decades back very seriously and thinking I'm really forgiving, I'm so compassionate. Only when I was faced with sharing this knowledge with others did I have to go so deep and understood what I was calling as forgiveness, what I was calling as compassion, and not just me at a personal level. What I knew of others at that time, what we were saying as forgiveness and compassion, it was coming from an emotional side. That is why we think we have forgiven, but yet we know how it keeps hurting. And we do it so lightly without even knowing what is forgiveness. So when I went deeper in understanding what is compassion, what is forgiveness, we will see the definition of forgiveness that I have used here, and then we'll be able to understand. Yes, we need to start off forgiving and being compassionate and empathetic at an emotional level. We don't know any other way. That comes innately for many of us. Because we know if somebody is hurting or if we are hurting, we need to forgive, or we need to help out others out of compassion. We will see today what we thought of forgiveness or compassion or empathy. It was at an emotional level. We will see what it means to be consciously compassionate. Forgiveness is a conscious, deliberate act. Not just saying, I'm so sorry. It comes automatically for us. First step, we have to do that. Until and unless we have learned to forgive at an emotional level, to be compassionate at an emotional level or at a non-conscious level, we won't even be able to understand what forgiveness or compassion is at a conscious level. Only when we practice forgiveness or practice compassion at a conscious level, starting from a conscious level, understanding it, comprehending it, including the why we have to do it. Then when we do this again and again and again, then it becomes a second nature. Only then will it be empowering. Otherwise, yes, we say sorry, and then we go back to our old ways of thinking, speaking, and acting with or behaving with others. So, especially the people who are here, we are all on this spiritual path. We have all done this. What is this new thing about forgiveness? I've been forgiving. Because it's the same people in my life, I've been forgiving. So what is there to learn? You will see today how if we kind of get deep into it, have an open mind to accept and question. Open mind does not mean to just to accept whatever I say. Question, and then it will empower your lives. So, Sanjeev, I keep get these messages being popped up. You know, especially for forgiving and compassion. I can assure you, this is how I've gone deeper, understanding our master that Ramakrishna Math and Mission has given us a formula we do not realize. We say these things in an automatic manner. This is where I have deciphered, encoded. What does this mean? The messages of the Holy Trio. And how can we look at that from a scientific perspective? So whatever I have understood about our master and the Holy Trio, and especially because of our Swamiji who is here, who truly taught me to understand our master, was I able to look at that from a scientific perspective so I could make it very general for everybody, not just devotees of Ramakrishna Math and Mission, for anybody to be able to understand and accept. And again, whatever I'm going to be presenting is not just on Holy Trio's message, but each and everything is backed up by scriptures. For example, the first shloka that we did, Asatoma, it's a mantra from Brihadaranyaka Upanishad. No reference to any particular god. It's a Shanti mantra. So everything what I say is again backed up by our scriptures. And what that formula is from our Ramakrishna Math and Mission, I'm just going to allude to that. I'm not going to go deeper into that, but I'm going to remain highly scientific. And scientific, not just from neuroscience angle, also from evolutionary biological perspective, positive psychology, and maybe even quantum physics, depending on how our interaction is. So from all these scientific angles is what I'm going to be covering up about forgiveness today. So, yes, why are we here? It's a general question. You can just say it out loud if you want, if you would like to. If not, that is also okay, but I'm going to be interacting with you all a lot. So I will leave it up to you to see how comfortable you would feel with these questions. Yeah. Yes, absolutely. Absolutely, self-discovery, yes. Absolutely, to find answers to the problems of the society, for the challenges that we are going through, whether it's a personal life or a professional life or outside of that. Okay, to work out at our past karmas in a scientific manner. We will try not to bring the theory of karma if possible. Of course, if there are questions, we can, but I would like to keep it as scientific as possible. And then please. Yes. Absolutely. Because forgiveness and interpersonal relationships, they go together. Usually, for people who are very serious, this we have done both in India. Usually forgiveness and interpersonal relationship workshops go together. We do this back to back. Then only we'll have a complete sense of understanding. Yes. What do you mean by that? Okay, very interesting. You said to find out how others are thinking. But one of the things I'm going to request all of you is to, whatever you learn here, relate to yourself. not thinking about others, but relating to ourselves. I usually do the reverse. I figure out, why am I thinking like that? And then if we are really truthful to ourselves, then we will be able to understand what others are thinking. If it is the other way around, because we have so many biases, if we don't figure out our own biases, and if we do not figure out ourselves outside of these biases, just like the other gentleman said, we have come here to understand ourselves. Then it is like viewing others, seeing others with colored glasses. We will get to that. That is where the mindful therapy comes about. It is not about how we are seeing. How should we see it? See the reality as it is, not the way you want to see it. That is the whole idea. We will get to that when we come to the therapy, mindful therapy. Yes. Open to others. Yes. Absolutely. Anybody else? Okay. I will try and generalize in a different manner the essence of what you have been saying. Would you say violence in the society? That is why we're here for to understand, especially in this day and age, not just in this country. Violence occurs in many different ways in many different countries. So violence, the power struggle, it could be at work, it could be at home. Power struggle between spouses, with parents and children, whether kids or adults for that matter, between siblings. And when we're working in an organization, especially like this, there should not be any power struggle, but we see this all the time, right? Power struggle, and we don't understand what that power is. That is why there is struggle there. And then aggression of all sorts. Again, whether it is at the societal level or at a personal level or at an organization level, hostility towards others and being hurt. Somebody else hurting us, and we don't know how to deal with this because it's always somebody, right? It's the other person said something, that is why I'm hurt. Always looking for both the cause of my hurt and the effect of that also. Anyway, because we don't understand both ourselves and therefore others, is one of the reasons why we are here, to be able to learn to forgive either ourselves or others. I would say both ourselves and others. And then again, fight going on. Sometimes because we are gentle, we are meek, and that is why we get hurt by others. This also we have seen, right? Because of misunderstanding, especially when it comes to parents and kids and between spouses, that we see. Kids understand that the parents help, and the spouses understand that the other person loves them. But still, somewhere the misunderstanding, because we do not really know how to truly express that love to others. Because of the power struggle, it comes out in different ways. then how do we understand that love? I always say this, and so this is what I understood honestly after coming into close association with Ramakrishna Matan Mission and also the sadhus of this mission, which was a awakening for me, I always thought we should learn how to love and what love is when we look at parents and especially mothers. As an adult, after 5 decades, this is what I understood. If we really need to understand what true love is, pure love is, it's not from our mothers. We can only understand this through the sadhus. That unconditional love, and not only unconditional love, that forgiveness. What all I have seen amongst the sadhus, this is what I'm trying to bring in a scientific manner, even about forgiveness. This will raise eyebrows to many people. Every opportunity that I get in public, whichever continent, whichever country, it doesn't matter, I say this, you need to learn to love from sadhus, and then you see the eyebrows being raised. When you understand the reason of our very existence, now I've switched to scientific manner, the very existence and the reason why we are here in an institution like this, either to understand ourselves or to understand others and to be evolving, the only way is to truly first just accept this statement and then try to understand what I mean by that. To truly understand what unconditional love and what forgiveness is, we need to learn this from the sadhus. But we are too sensitive. That's why any little thing will affect us. And that is one of the reasons we are here. Or somebody else is too stubborn. We are too sensitive and others are too stubborn. We don't know how to deal. This is the reason, right? So, like this statement, can we, let's see, can we hide that bar, Sanjeev, the top bar? Okay. When the mind is weak, a situation becomes a problem. When the mind is balanced, the situation becomes a challenge. When the mind is strong, the situation becomes an opportunity. So we are here to convert our challenge into opportunity. Opportunity for what? An opportunity to evolve. I'm using the scientific word as evolve, but especially we come here to understand what mukti is, or what is mukti, what is freedom, what is salvation, all of this. This is what I'm trying to use an equivalent term for that scientifically as evolving. I can assure you, if we have even an iota of unforgiveness state of mind, it is impossible to evolve, let alone to understand even what is mukti. Forget about obtaining mukti, even to understand it is not going to be possible. Why? Again, trying to bring not the karma theory, but this is what it means scripturally. Until and unless there is purification of mind, which we call it as chitta shuddhi, we won't even be eligible for that path of jnana, or even if you are on the path of jnana, we won't be able to understand, no matter how much it has been given on the platter. So any kind of unforgiveness state of mind, any kind of resentment, it is impossible to be evolving. Let's come back to scientific angle. It is impossible to evolve. So forgiveness is a prerequisite, if I may, if we are really serious to be evolving. If we have to be surviving, thriving, and be highly successful, to be highly educated, to be highly wealthy, you don't need to learn to forgive. You can be all of that, yet not evolving. To be evolving, the only way is to have this unforgiveness state of mind. How do we get to that? We will see. I'm just going to shift gears and then, you know, the story, probably all of us like the story. And I put this story because just last night, one of our devotees was discussing with me. I'm also weaving in many of the questions that have come up for the last few days when I have been associating with many of you here. So a question was raised saying that, how is it possible for us to forgive when the same person keeps saying the same thing again and again and again, keeps doing the same action again the same way? How is it possible to forgive? I forgive, but it happens again and again and again. So a brief story, you know this, but look at this. A sadhu is, as you can see, with his shishya bathing in the river. He sees a scorpion which falls into the river, right? Water. So he picks it up and then puts it in a safe place on the steps. And then after a few minutes, the scorpion falls down again. He puts it back. As he's putting back, it stings. And third time happens again. And he keeps saving that scorpion as it keeps falling down. When the student asks, why are you saving that scorpion? It is stinging you and you're saving it again and again and again. And the sadhu says, the scorpion's dharma is to sting. My dharma as a sadhu is to save that. You know, this story did not say a devotee, or it did not say it was a doctor or a scientist. The story, even that, when we go really, really deep, we will see it said it was a sadhu, right? And why? As I said earlier, it's only with the sadhus that we can actually learn really how to forgive. And especially of this Ramakrishna Math mission, not even just saving, the whole purpose, if you ask me, the reason Ramakrishna was born over 150 years back is because to bring harmony. Because our Swamijis have taught us there is a reason for every avatara. At different times, great men, later on we come to know that they are avatars for a particular reason, depending on the cultural landscape at that point of time. And if you ask me, my opinion is, this is one thing I just was so attracted to, and that is what I honed in when I learned about the harmony of religions, harmony of East and West. And the reason Ramakrishna was born to bring harmony, that is why he just did not preach about other religions. He practiced different religions. And he didn't even say too much about harmony. It was later on Vivekananda who actually interpreted that. so that we could understand. It is not about just saving. To save, it is much easier. To save lives, it is much easier, trust me. But to bring harmony amongst the people is the toughest thing. Saving is one time, right? To be able to bring harmony. Okay. Again, like this statement of Swami Vivekananda, he says, of the many riddles that have perplexed the intellect of man is himself. Most mysterious is his own nature. It is the problem of problems. It's our own nature. I keep saying we have both through that two wolves story that I always bring about, that there is always both good and evil in each and every one of us, or the Pandavas and Kauravas are within us. But we keep forgetting that Krishna is also within us, right? And he says our own nature is the problem of our problems. And this is what has been said in Gita about the mind. Mind is both our friend and foe. At different times, it is different things. We can see that with others, but we have to be able to bring that awareness, self-awareness, to the extent that we will be able to see certain negative nature that is coming up within ourselves, so that we will be able to take the right course of action. For that, the answer is solution is within. Keep focusing on that. Solution is within us. And contemporary of Vivekananda, William James, was a scientist and a doctor. He says, the greatest discovery of my generation is that a human being can alter his life by altering his attitudes of mind. That is all we need to do. And that is what our sadhus have been saying. Our rishis and munis from time immemorial. We cannot get that, right? You're not just this body and mind. Go beyond, they say, but it is so tough. And we need scientists and doctors to come and interpret that in a different way. Just change your attitude and will change. The changing in attitude, that solution has to come from within. Cannot come from outside, right? So why are we here? We've already said to evolve. So again, with that, solution is within, extension of that, which is we are here to understand and change our minds, as you said, sir, to understand ourselves, to change our mind and not someone else's behavior, and not to change the society, to be able to understand ourselves, change our behavior. This is where I like the statement of Mahatma Gandhi. He says, you be the change that you want to see in the world. Yes, that does not mean we should not go do service outside. That's not what I'm saying. Whatever we need to do, not to change the society, but that will help us to change ourselves. As long as our attitude is in the right place, otherwise our egos will be built this big. And it will even hurt us when we go try to change the society without that proper attitude. This is what I keep saying. Our Mutt and Mission has given that right formula. How do you have to do that? Shiva Jnane Jiva Seve. So we need to go out for our sake, not to help out the society, not to help out the poor and needy. We have to go there for ourselves. Many a times, And rightly so. With the busyness of life, we forget this. So for that, I keep mentioning this prayer too, helps a lot. And I say this prayer is highly, highly scientific. We know this. But how? How do you accept the things? I keep getting this question again and again and again. How is it possible to accept the atrocities that are happening? So we have kind of modified this prayer to make such people understand how. How do we develop? We don't get that serenity right away. We need to cultivate it. Until and unless we cultivate the serenity, it is impossible to accept what is happening. If we keep resisting what is happening in the society, even the violence, it is possible to work, but it is at a different level. Once you accept whatever is happening in the society, you'll be able to understand why that is happening. Why is there violence in the society? And we're not just going to see our little world and say, this should not be happening. This is where we will get the bigger picture, whether you want to call that karma. I might want to use a scientific perspective as the quantum physics perspective, that whether we know it or not, we are all interconnected. And not just now, for ages, eons together. We are all interconnected. If we get this understanding, we will never be able to ask this question, how can I accept what is happening in the society? I'm not saying accept whatever is happening in the society and keep mum. That is not what I'm saying. When we accept without resistance, we will be able to understand why, go deep into why such atrocities are happening, whether it is in this country or many other countries that when I go, same questions come about. That interconnectedness of things. Unfortunately, sometimes certain innocent people will be affected. And sometimes it's also us. This is what should make us go deeper into asking the existential questions and work towards that rather than just being rebellious. Apart from cultivating the serenity, to develop the skills, not just have the courage, developing skills is very important. So that is why we are here, to develop the skills so that it will help us to cultivate the serenity, so that we will have the wisdom to know the difference between the two. Even though we have the wisdom, many a times we don't use that. We have the knowledge, but we don't make it into wisdom by using that. So that is why we are here. Again, you know, whoever has been attending some of my talks, they know there is no talk that goes without using this phrase, right? What do I mean by that? How do you change the way you look at things? The things you look at will change. What do we see in this picture? Different people, different things. Huh? What can you just quickly? There is nothing there. So yeah, we see both, right? Yeah. So depending on which way we look at it, different emotions, we feel different things. And right here, there is no right or wrong. The same way, you know, if you focus on the black thing, black part, you will see
differently. And if you focus only on the white aspect, you will see. Again, it's not seeing just one way or other. Both ways exist. Again, talking about forgiveness the same way. We've been, whether we forgive in an emotional way or now understand how to do this in a conscious, compassionate manner so that it is going to be empowering for us. It's not about right or wrong. We have to know the difference and then keep going at it. Anyway, so until now we thought forgiveness we do for others because others have done the mistake. They are hurting us, so I have to forgive. This is the change in perspective I would like you to bring about. Forgiveness is not something we do for other people. It is something we do for ourselves to move on, not just to move on, to be evolving. Especially, I don't have to be talking for the citizens of this country. If you have gone through, you probably have studied, some of you are quite young enough, the Truth and Reconciliation report by Desmond Tutu. When it happened, you were here, you have gone through some. And when you are young, you can say, how is it possible? How could he do that? And then as we think deeper, then we will be able to understand. So when we try to forgive the people who have not just hurt us, done atrocities also, it is not about them. This we have not understood even at the national level, because it was only a few people in that committee. They did it. Some of us understood, some of us accepted, probably some of us did not like it at all. But if you look at it, if we really have to evolve as a nation, there is no other way but to forgive. There is no other way to forgive, because that is the only way we can be evolving at an individual level, and we can be evolving at a national level. And it is not just in this country. Of course, this was huge. That's why it went into as a Truth and Reconciliation Commission itself. But many, not of this order, many different incidents have happened in many different countries, and we have come up with the similar issues. I'm not going to go into those issues right now because it will digress, but if you can remind me later, Shivani, then we can actually we have this as we can make this as a group and then send certain videos and reports wherein in different cultures, different countries, how forgiveness, not just at an individual level, at a community level, it has helped people so much. And it was so hard for people to believe that it is a possibility for people, for a certain type of people to actually forgive the perpetrators. So we can send some of those reports later. So this is the most important thing. Yes. Of course, I'm going to get to that. We're going to understand what is forgiveness, what is not forgiveness, some misconceptions of forgiveness. Then there will be answers to this question. I'll definitely get into that, of course. So there has to be a paradigm shift until and unless it does not matter what atrocity it is, if we don't forgive that person, there won't be any future for the victim. The future the way they want it, peaceful, happy. And to be able to be happy, to be able to love somebody else, until and unless that forgiveness is there, there cannot be a future. I'll get to that. So part of that is, it's not just one time act to be able to forgive and be done with that. It's impossible. It's a process. That's why we get confused between forgiveness and forgetting. When I've forgiven, but I keep remembering the same thing. We're going to go deeper into that. So has to become an attitude. Sometimes we also have to ask why. Why only? I usually don't tell people, don't go to that why me question, But at times, especially times like this, we have to ask, why did this happen to me? And how can I prevent this happening to others? Especially what you talked about, whether it is individual abuse, or what is happening in the society. That is, even when we go into how can we prevent, the attitude with which we go makes a whole lot of difference. It is always, is it going to be against the violence or is it going to be for peace? How you're going to be looking at it, how you're going to be acting upon it is going to make a whole lot of difference with the kind of attitude you go in solving the issue or in making a difference in the issue. Do you want to go towards peace or do you want to go against the violence? To be able to go towards peace can happen only when somebody has forgiven, not otherwise. So just some quotes to set the pace. Forgiveness is the best form of love. It takes a strong person to say sorry and an even stronger person to forgive. Of course, we're not going to go into the religious aspect here about divine. We'll touch upon it and then move on and then focus on a scientific angle. So that's good that your question was preempted. This is the time. Are there any more questions? And why? Why do we need to forgive? Of course, I've been saying to evolve that's a separate issue. Why? Why do we need to forgive? Absolutely. If I have to put it in a very scientific manner, because this is where when people come one-on-one sessions or with the family, repetitive thinking, if it is not dealt with, these are the things that will lead to repetitive thoughts and repetitive actions. Sometimes we don't realize, we just as medical professionals prescribe medicine for OCDs, right? But there is some deeper cause. When we go try and analyze, then we will see that repetitive thinking and repetitive actions is because of that. Yes, sir. Oh, okay. Yes. From a different perspective. Yes. To be able to bring reconciliation and harmony. Yes, it can, forgiveness can lead to negotiation if it can bring reconciliation and harmony between people. But we will see there are different angles to this. We will see. Anybody else? Yes. Absolutely. Yes. Absolutely. On survival. Otherwise, we might be physically alive, but we are dying inside because that person, even if that person has left and gone, very much alive in our mind, so that we cannot really survive. Great. Anything else? Yes. Exactly. Exactly. That is self-harm. That is self-violence. That is also there in the definition of WHO, what is violence. We don't realize. It is not just hurting, it is violence against ourselves. We are being violent towards ourselves. We never thought of it this way. Because we are always focused on that person. He or she has done this, but we are violating our own peace of mind. We are violating our own nurturing and nurturing healing emotions and feelings. But it seems so logical, righteous indignation. How can I not be angry? This is where in our scriptures say, logical mind, you need to drop. It won't make sense. Logic won't make sense here at all. If you're going to use logic, of course, you have to be angry. You have to take revenge. If there is no justice that is involved with this, then you have to take revenge. All these are the answers that you're going to get if you think of it in a logical manner. We're going to get to all of this in a deeper way. Okay. I'll just go into why, and then maybe we will go into why. So, and then break so that we don't have to start with this. Yes, this is quick. I don't have to. We have gone through this. I'm just going to show it to you as part of the slide. We have to come. Why do we have to forgive? Because we have been hurt. We have been misunderstood. We have been offended. We have been lied to. We have been attacked. We have been rejected. And these are all the reasons to forgive, right? Why forgive? And more, to be peaceful, to be happier, to reduce and negative and difficult emotions. And you have given a lot more than this. I've just listed a few. To boost health and well-being, as you rightly said. To end suffering. If I have to put all of those together in this slide. And of course, my answer, ultimately, you have to do all of this just so we can be evolving at an individual level as better human beings, and at the level of humanity. The humanity itself has to evolve. Until and unless we reach a tipping point, at an individual level, when we keep evolving, until and unless we reach a tipping point, the society will remain the same way. So we have not reached a tipping point of enough evolved people to be thinking in these ways, to be able to make a difference in the society. Okay. So why forgive? We have said this again: health and well-being, physical health, mental health, and to be evolving. Just want to take two issues about evolving. One, as you were saying about the interpersonal relationships, and also to realize one's own potential. We look at this realizing our own potential in terms of surviving and thriving. How can we be more healthy, wealthy, make name, fame in the outside world? That is where it stops. But this is where, the true reason of realizing one's own potential is this reason, and we will stop after this. Realizing one's own true potential. The Swami Vivekananda way, which I call it as Viveka Vedanta, is to understand that we are all divine beings and we are just going through a human experience. When we going through this human experience, these things happen, whether for us or for others. But the goal and purpose of our life is to manifest this divinity or goodness, you may want to call this, that is already within us. But it is covered up with all these afflictive emotions and feelings. And the goal and purpose of life is also to help manifest the goodness and divinity in others. And this is where, especially as devotees, because I see many of you are devotees of this ashram. The reason we come to this ashram, we understand the first thing. We think we are trying to get the second one going, to manifest the goodness or divinity within us. But I can assure you, it's extremely difficult for us to be doing the right company. We need to follow the footsteps of our sadhus, wherein they are the ones who are helping us to manifest this divinity within us. Many times we don't realize, we get into loggerheads, into our own ways of thinking and our own ways of doing. If we can understand this, this is why I said, especially we need to learn how to love unconditionally and to be able to forgive from our sadhus. If we can take these two aspects, that is enough. This is what our sadhus are helping us to. They are at the third level, helping us to manifest that divinity or goodness in us. If we can always remember this, try to remember this. Again, be with the company who will see the same thing. There will always be different types of people. And if we are following or going according to few people who will say again certain of the things, we will be stuck. Just knowing that we are all divine beings, not even at the second level. With this, we will take a break, 15-minute break.